Hi. So I just got a great phone call from one of my parents of kids that has a younger child, seventh grader, and he was like, what's a good time to start this kid lifting weights? You know, and historically, if you look in my industry, the fitness industry, people have said, yeah, 14 is kind of like our number. Like when a kid reaches 14, they can start lifting weights. But it's really, there's a lot more to it than that. It could be a situation where he's a young 14. Now, for me, I was a young 14. When you saw me when I was 14 years old, I was 100 pounds, I was 5 foot tall, and normally I wouldn't pass the eye test of someone who could lift weights, right? Except I grew up on a farm. I was throwing around 75 pounds of hay, 75-pound hay bales, carrying 2 water jugs for my horses, manure, moving, shoveling, all kinds of other stuff that we had to do all the time, like corn and whatever. So I probably would have been fine because my body was trained. I was functionally fit to go in the weight room. So it really makes a difference. Now we have to be cautious when we look at the difference between assessments and testing because they're not the same. Everybody commingles those two. And they're not the same. A test is something simple. I'm gonna do so many push-ups. Yeah, it's a test. How many sit-ups? Boom. It doesn't tell me anything really. I mean, it tells me a certain fitness level at a certain task that you've trained and done well, and you've overcome that, and you've conditioned yourself to a certain extent that you can do a bunch of them. That's not an assessment. Now, for me, with my skill set, a 40-yard dash is actually an assessment. Now, coaches will use a 40-yard dash as a test, and it's a good test, right? A 10-yard dash, 40-yard dash, 60-yard dash for baseball, 100-meter sprints. But with my skill set in my eyes, I can look at somebody run a 40 and I can go, well, I think that dude is running a 40 about as fast as he's ever going to run it. And then I see another guy, I go, wow, there's a lot more left there because that guy runs terribly and he ran 4.6. So if I see a guy who's terrible and he runs a 4.6, then I'm like, okay, there's a guy who can run 4.5, 4.4 if he's coached accordingly. So it's a really tricky thing to come up with. It's very hard to come up with a good answer for a parent. You want to take that kid and have him do a bunch of stuff. Have him do sit-ups and pull-ups and chin-ups and run and stop and start and jump off a box and all the stuff that you want to be able to know that you can have confidence that his body's going to be okay. And then you want to start him slowly, right? Start exposing him to that stuff kind of slow. Nothing crazy. Don't worry, and you got to be very cautious of peer pressure because one of the biggest parts of injury for our young athletes, freshman and sophomore athletes, is peer pressure. They feel like they got to bench 1,000,000 pounds and they got to deadlift 1,000,000 pounds. Make sure that you kind of keep them in the box as that's controlled. I hope that was helpful. I know it sounds a little bit out there, but just really spend a lot of time with them before you commit to training with weights. Thanks.